Hi everybody, welcome back to Taji's World of Books and welcome to another, if you like this series, you probably will like this series. Hey you guys, so welcome back, and as I said, every day is a better day. I'm feeling much better than I was when I filmed the last video. Still not 100%, but every day is better, so I'm so grateful for that. And for those of you that have sent me well wishes and kind words, I am so appreciative and so grateful, and thank you so much for thinking of me, and I just hope that I continue to feel better each day from here. Okay, so without further ado, let's get into it. So this is all going to be centered around Greek mythos. I did not plan it this way, it just happened to work out this way, and so I thought, well, as I was reading a couple of series, I was like, this really reminds me of this other series that I read. And so I'm going to tell you about the series, and then I'm also going to recommend another series that I think if you like it, you'll probably like that as well. And then you guys can go from there, but it all is around Greek mythos. So the first series that I want to talk about, now keep in mind, I like to film things hot off the press so it's fresh in my mind, so when I can talk to you about it, I can give you all the details and the ins and outs. This series I read while I was convalescing, and so it's been a little bit of time, so I'm going to do the best that I can in terms of my memory might not be that great about it because I was like on all kinds of drugs, and so it is what it is. All right, so the first series that I'm going to talk about is the Wicked Villain series by Katee Roberts. The first book is Desperate Measures. There are 6 primary works and then 1 novella, and so let's talk about it. So Desperate Measures is the first book, and this is about Jasmine and Jafar. And so it starts off with Jafar, you know, starting or initiating a coup to take over the reign of this criminal empire. And so very quickly you start to understand that everything takes place in Carver City, and Carver City is like this mythological place where all of these various criminal enterprises rule, and the center of that rule takes place at this particular club that everybody goes to, and I don't remember the name of the club. I think it's called the Underground, and the Underground, or the Underworld, that's what it's called. And the Underworld is where Hades rules, and of course, like, Hades rules the Underworld, and so that's where all the deals and like anything that like is going to happen amongst anybody is happening at the Underworld, and that's where power exchanges occur, you know. But everybody's into this BDSM lifestyle. So Jafar basically enacts a coup and takes over, and now he takes Jasmine to be his own, and so the first place that he has to go to is the Underworld because he has to basically demonstrate that he's got that power. And so it's a message to everybody in the Underworld that he really is like the big man in charge now, and he has taken over. And so much of this book is setting up so that Jasmine starts to understand who Jafar is. She's known because Jafar was one of her father's bodyguards, and so he's been around forever, and she knows him and knows what's happening. There is a dubious consent situation, or a non-consent, if you will, situation that occurs in this book, and everything is about power exchange, both with their BDSM play as well as their personal relationship. And so how this all works out in this book in terms of the reign and control between Jasmine and Jafar is beautiful, and I thought it worked out really well, and I loved it, and it's a 5 out of 5 star, and it's super good. So that is Desperate Measures. Then the next book in the series is Learn My Lesson, and this is Hades' story, and Hades' story with Meg, and the things that, and we are introduced to Hades and Meg here, and we learn about them, and that's what I learned. There's a whole cast of characters in the Underworld that are involved in a lot of different BDSM power exchange plays, and you know that their story is coming, and when you get their story, you're so excited. And so I was so happy to get Meg's and Hades' story, and this is, I have to say, my favorite story book in this entire series. And this is a throuple situation, and Hercules is involved in this situation, and I absolutely loved it because I love triads, true triads, where it's not just about we are hooking up to have a sexual exchange, but rather we are in a committed emotional relationship, and it is very much about each player in that has some necessary component to make the relationship work, and that is no different here. And it is so good. We're learning more about the underworld. We're learning more about the power play exchange. We're learning about all the different players that you know, are invested, and how Hades knows so much of what he knows, and why this club is all so essential in Carver City to, you know, ensure that everything is running smoothly and correctly. And they have some connection with Olympus because Hercules is from Olympus, so that is a different criminal outfit. And you know, what kind of exchange is happening between Olympus and the underworld as well. And so that comes out in this book as well. So this is a 5 out of 5 star, my favorite book of the series. We also heard a lot about Hook in the series, and so the third book is called An Unworthy Opponent, and I absolutely loved it. This is about Hook, and I believe it's Hook and Tink. And Tink we have learned about in multiple other books. She is essential to, she has a stint or a stay that she has committed herself to be working at this club, and her contract is becoming null, and she's got to figure out her situation. And Hook has been interested in her for quite some time, and this is Hook and Tink's story. And again, this is probably my third favorite. My first favorite is my Learn My Lesson. Then I love Jasmine and Jafar, and then I love Hook and Tink. Really, really good story, and so you get to hear all the dynamics. This is also about healing, past trauma, and you know, neglect, abuse, emotional abuse, and trust again, and what that looks like. And so this all comes out in this book as well. Then the next is The Beast, and this is Gaetan, and this is another throuple situation. I absolutely love it. And the three players in this are Isabel, Gaetan, and what is his name? I don't remember the third. Oh, Beast. Duh. Beast. So that is the third. And so they have to work through some past trauma. They have tried to work as independent units, where Isabel dated both Beast and Gaetan at the same time, but separately, and she couldn't decide whom she wanted to be with. And so ultimately is because it just didn't work. And so they're giving it one final go. And at the end of this period, she must decide if she's going to go with Beast or if she's going to go with Gaetan. And the way that this story works out, and the way that they work out their conflict and challenges and difficulties, is gorgeous. It's so beautiful. I love this couple so much. It's just wonderful. Really, really, really wonderful. And like, not giving a fuck about what anybody else thinks, or what they're going to say about your relationship, or what they think they know, family members, or how they're going to accept, or whatever. It just is awesome and beautiful. And so Beast is a 5 out of 5 star for sure. So then for me, this is when the series sort of went, I went, what the hell happened? Because it was on a fight. 5 out of 5 star, huge momentum, going really well. And then we came to the Sea Witch, and this is the story of Ursa, and we knew that this was coming. And this is another, an Alaric, and Alaric has a long history with Zuriel, or Ariel. And this is another triad situation. And I just didn't, the power play exchange between the Dom, Ursa, and how she interacted with Alaric and Zuriel, I just didn't like it. And they tried to, I don't know, it didn't work for me. I wasn't real thrilled with their interaction, and you know, the choices that they made, and how each character brought something to the relationship. I just didn't feel like they did. And so it just didn't seem authentic, and I wasn't all on board. So this was just a 3 out of 5 star, but this is the Sea Witch, and it continues the story, and then we get to see all the other players. It does all the things that I like, where you get to see all the other players at the club, because everybody's always at the club, and so you get to see Jasmine and Jafar, and you get to see, you know, Gaetan, and everybody knows everybody, and there's all kinds of things. Now there's something that happens in this book with Hercules from Learn My Lesson, where he has to do something to make amends with Ursa, and I horrified and didn't like it and was upset and bothered, and I understood it, but I didn't like it. So this was not my favorite book in the series. So I gave it a 3 out of 5 star. And yet again, like same thing, Queen Takes Rose. This again is another situation where I didn't like. It's Malone, and Malone is with Aurora, and we've seen Aurora multiple times before. I really liked her, but Malone as a dom didn't work for me. I really didn't like it. I was like really looking forward to this, and it just let me down. And so for me, it was just a 3 out of 5 star. Like, again, it's a continuation of the story. We get to see the characters, but I just wasn't feeling it, and so I didn't like it, and so I was really disappointed with how that wound up, so I only gave that a 3 out of 5 star. And then the final book in the series is the Wicked Villain short stories, and it just is revisiting. You get to see Jasmine and Jafar. It's a return to Carver City. You're getting to see Zuriel, we're home. You know, you see more about Aurora, you see more about Gaetan, so it was really nice. Yeah, I probably would have liked to see a couple more things come out of here, but, you know, for what it was, it worked, and I was happy that I got a little wrap up, so that was that. Now, having said that, I am going to say that if you like the club scene, if you like the BDSM, dom, and submissives, and everybody at the club knows everybody, and everybody, you know, sort of interacts with everybody, and there is like rules, and there's a dungeon master, and the dungeon master in the Wicked Villain series is Hades, then I think you will absolutely love the Honey series. And the first book in the series is The Deep End by Kristen Ashley, and I absolutely love it because Club Honey it's set in Arizona, and these books are steamy and spicy and beautiful, and it's all about strong female characters that are doms, you know, with these alpha men that are alpha, but they are alpha subs, and they are just gorgeous and yummy, and this is probably my favorite series. And the dynamic of the clubs and the way that the clubs are run and what happens at the club and how things are set up, the Wicked Villain series for sure reminds me these clubs could be virtually identical. The only difference is that this is mythical and this is set in our world. But the way that everything goes down, I'm telling you, it is like one for one. They're really virtually identical, and I think that you'll really appreciate it. So this first book is about Oliver and Amelie, and Amelie is like infamous at the clubs, and she meets Oliver through a freak set of circumstances, and he is an alpha sub, and he is just a beefing, beautiful chunk of gorgeous blonde beauty, and Amelie is just gonna suck it up and go for it, and so that's what happens in that book. So then the next book in the series is The Farthest Edge, and this is about Branch and Evangeline, and again, you've heard about them in other stories or other characters in this book. You get to see them here as well, and again, same situation, alpha sub, amazing, really good. And then the long-awaited third book in the series is about Six and Stellan. And it is so good, I can't even tell you. It's so good. And it's like, and they are both alphas, and they are both doms, and it's about what that power exchange looks like, and somebody's got to submit, and what that all like looks like, and how it all comes to term. Now, there is also we hear in the end of in all 3 books, we hear about this throuple situation with Maddox and Molly and Diesel. And so like I was like, we need more about Maddox, Molly, and Diesel. We need to hear like what's happened, because we found out, especially in the third book, there's a tremendous amount of information given about them. And so Maddox, Molly, and Diesel is in this, there is like, 20 chapters or so in here. So there's 2 stories in here about the other stories about other couples from another series that she has written, Kristen Ashley, but the final short story in here is about the throuple that we learn about mostly in this book appear here, and you get to see how things wrap up. And Maddox, Molly, and Diesel, I love them so much, and they are in this book. And Kristen Ashley, this is her, you know, opportunity, or her try at doing erotica, and she did such a great job. This is one of my all-time favorite series. I absolutely loved it, and so I hope that you like it as well. So then moving on, continuing with the theme of if you like this or if you like that, the sort of Greek god edition, then I'm going to tell you about Scarlett St. Clair, and this is her Hades and Persephone retelling. The first book is A Touch of Darkness, then we have A Touch of Ruin, then we have From Hades' Point of View, it's A Game of Fate, and then the final story is A Touch of Malice. And I absolutely love this series because this is about the Queen of, or the Queen of Spring and daytime in life meets the King of Darkness and death. And what is that going to be like? And it's basically their love story, and it's, you know, it's Scarlett St. Clair's take on their love story and how she sees it. And Persephone is a newer goddess because she's been recently born to Demeter, who prayed and prayed for her, and ultimately she was granted with Persephone, and she's kept her because of a prophecy that was foretold. Demeter kept Persephone sort of cloistered and separated from all the rest of the gods and goddesses, so she doesn't know much. So when she actually comes in contact with Hades, he really teaches her the ropes and helps her come into her magic. And their relationship and their story is so beautiful and so glorious and so wonderful. So this is a spicy, steamy sort of take on their relationship, you know, because you get a lot of intimacy and a lot of smutty, beautiful sex that they have. But at the same time, you get to see that they have to learn to trust one another, and they have to learn to talk and communicate. Now, Scarlett St. Clair did the thing that I don't like. When you get the Game of Fate, it really is a retelling from his perspective of these first two books, so it gets a little bit boring because you've already gone through it and heard it, but it also is a little bit unique and different. And then A Touch of Malice sort of ends on a cliffhanger. Now, the way that she is releasing the books, we're going to have to wait until, for the dual point of view, until 2023 for A Touch of Chaos to come out. And that is going to be the culmination of the series. So what's next is A Game of Retribution and A Game of Gods. And that's going to be from Hades' point of view about what's happened up until this point that's brought us up to this cliffhanger. And then, like I said, the dual point of view, A Touch of Chaos, is going to come out, and that'll conclude the series. So I'm going to say that A Touch of Malice, unfortunately, is only a 3 out of 5 star. This was a 3 out of 5 star. The first book, the first two, these are 4.5 out of 5 stars, so these are better. Hopefully she does a better job with A Touch of Chaos. I prefer dual point of view books as opposed to, you know, individually doing it. You know, one book for one point of view, because I feel like it's redundant in that sense. But it's a good series nonetheless. And if you like all of, you know, the god and goddesses, you like the Titans, you like, you know, Mount Olympus, you like learning about Zeus and all of that, then you absolutely will love A Lovely War. A Lovely War is a really fascinating story of Aphrodite telling a love story for, you know, multiple couples that are involved. And she is interacting with Hephaestus, her husband, and Apollo. Hephaestus catches Aphrodite on an assignation with Apollo at a hotel room, and he holds them hostage, and basically he makes them make their case, and Aphrodite has to make a case of love. And so she talks about a young couple that meets right before this British officer has to go off to war, and so they're probably 17 years old or so, and they exchange. The only way that they can interact and exchange is through letters, and so that is a beautiful, beautiful story. And then there also is a lounge singer and a pianist that communicate as well, and they're all friends, and they all sort of come together. And this book is written so, so well. It's a YA story, so it's not steamy and spicy, but it is the storytelling that Julie Berry did in this book is beautiful and glorious and just absolutely wonderful. And because in Scarlett St. Clair's book, you're hearing about Aphrodite and Hephaestus' story, and you're seeing Apollo. And if you're like kind of wondering, because you hear that Aphrodite really is in love with Hephaestus, and Hephaestus is really in love with Aphrodite, but their relationship is all jacked up and you don't understand, this over here tells why. And it tells why what's happening, and it's another take on it. So it kind of rounds out the story. So I think that you'll really appreciate it and really like it. So you guys, that is a lot of talking and a lot that I have said. And so it's a little bit of this and that, and it's a little mix and a compilation of different things. And so I hope that you really appreciate it. And let me know if you read any of these books and what you think about them. So that is all that I have, and I will be back again with more recommendation videos and more things. You know, I upload new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, so I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Bye!